Evening everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome back after admittedly a long hiatus to the office and to the Little Western Model Railway YouTube channel. Now, today we're going to be doing my first sort of follow-up video. I know I said during my Network Traveller video, which you can see up here, that I would do something similar to this after 6 to 9 months of owning a product. Well, today's item I've owned for about a year now, and she's been running quite a lot, so I think it's about high time that I gave her a little bit of time in the limelight. And I've decided to do a summary or breakdown to basically show you if I got my money's worth, which I think I did, considering how much I paid for her. So I know I said I wasn't going to do this kind of video, and the main reasoning is I'm not calling it a review. It's more of a case of I've had something for a long time and I want to show you guys how well and how it runs now, but this video will sort of combine with the first impressions, where I'll show you guys the box, the contents, you know, the maybe show you the mechanism if possible. But enough of that. This is just all of those rolled into one. The idea is that I will have two separate videos on each of these products. One being an unboxing or a first impressions with the first running shots and so on. And the second, a slightly shorter form video showing some running of said product or whatever it is, and whether or not I think it was worth the money in hindsight. So after confirming I've pretty much lied to you all in the previous video, I have to stipulate again that I'm not going to be giving ratings or scoring at all. I think that kind of stuff is highly opinionative, and one person might give one score to one product that somebody else had a bad experience with, or vice versa, something like that. And there's plenty of people that are doing that kind of stuff anyway. Whether or not you pay attention to that kind of stuff, I don't know. I personally don't. I think about the product as a whole from across the market, not one person or two people's opinions. I scour everything before I even think about purchasing something. And at the end of the day, you have to bite the bullet sometimes, and just go with your gut, whether something looks good or not. That's completely down to you. So what you're going to get in these is my down-to-earth, honest assessment of the specific purchase that I've got after continuous use post-purchase. So without further ado, I give you today's star of the show, the Bachmann Earl Class. Roll the intro. So, here we are with the box. First up, we can see that it's the standard Bachmann packaging, 3200 Earl Class, with the logo blue and red. Not really much to say. Same on the other side. On this side, we have 31087 DC, GWR 3200 Class 9T03, GWR green with DCC on board. Yes, this comes DCC fitted, not ready. Bit of information on the back, but I will go over this in itself later on. Moving the locomotive to the side, we can see the leaflets come as standard. We have a slight instruction manual for body removal. I'll go over this separately later on. Also some information about running it in, what curves it can take, decoder fitting, etc. And then an exploded parts diagram. I'll also show you where you can go and get specific parts for this locomotive, and I'll leave a link to that in the description. Then we have some warranty information and Collectors Club sign up. Still thinking about it, haven't decided yet. Also warranty and product maintenance. And last but not least, the DCC decoder 21 pin 4 functions. Now, it doesn't mention the brand, but it says Bachmann, but the one I have in mind is a Soundtrax, and I'll show you that in a few moments. So standard ice cube packaging of locomotives, pretty much, you know, previous standard. I think Hornby are the ones that are going a bit over the top, or maybe they're being really fragile about it now. I know Akira Scale are doing something very similar, so we're seeing a better level of packaging with newer purchases. On the top we have a detail bag. In here will usually be the blanking plate, but as I have my decoder here, I've already set mine up for DC running, as I don't have my DCC set up ready for testing just yet. Before we take a look at the locomotive, I'll show you more detail. The detail bag. So inside the bag we have tender brake rigging, speaker enclosure and screws, a thing that I don't know and is not part of the parts diagram, so if you know what this is, let me know, but it has a mold line on it which doesn't look great, so no idea. Some screw link couplings. Haven't decided whether to use these or get some MJT ones as of yet, as I do want to run things with screw link if possible. Brake rods or brake rigging for the locomotive, and an assortment of shovels and fire irons. Back to the locomotive, and if we take off the ice cube packaging and take her out, she looks phenomenal. I'll just give her a tilt so you can see her a little bit better. Bring the light. There we go. She looks fantastic in person. So let me put her on the Lazy Susan and you can get a little bit of a better look, I think. So down on the Lazy Susan you can see she is a beautiful locomotive. Just give her a spin. Give her a full 360 so you can see. There's plenty of detail on her. Some of it is metal, some of it isn't. A lot of separately fitted, lovely detailed cab. But she does look fantastic. So, details to point out. The whistle guard, safety valve, dome and chimney are all separately fitted, but I'm afraid to say they're all plastic. The windows look like they're flush glazing and they do look okay.
The handrails are metal, and it seems so are the handrail knobs, as are the lamp irons, which are also metal and separately fitted. The smoke box dart doesn't look terrible, but it also doesn't look molded either. Yeah, vacuum pipe as fitted. There is a piece of apparatus there as well. There is a decoupling, an NEM pocket at the front as well. There are no sprung buffers, I'm afraid to say. Not really a letdown. It's not really needed in 00. One thing to note as well is the leaf springs for the wheels are also separately fitted, but I believe they're plastic. But the detail on the front pony and the outside frames around the connecting rods is fantastic. I'm afraid to say that it does seem to be a plastic body, but I do need to just confirm that. But I mean, it's got some weight to it, which I think the body itself is actually die cast. So the actual body is die cast, which is fine. Some nice handrail detail here on the tender and on the cab. It's got a short cab as well, so you can see here that it also has jacks for rain covers, which is an amazing detail that I will probably have to model on this, although there are some slight modifications that are needed. Get a nice look into that cab. There you go. So nicely brightly illuminated. Can't see it on the video, maybe you can, but there's striations here on the water gauge, different colours picked out elsewhere. It's also seating, levers and things for the actual firebox, so you can pose certain models. So I will be probably finding a set of seated crew, maybe. At least one of them. There's also a working catch plate, cab catch plate. One thing to be careful though is with the drawbar being too far out, it can drop, sometimes fall off. The tender detail is quite nice as well. There is a channel here for the fire irons and stuff. I haven't been brave enough to put them in there as of yet, but again, something I would like to do. It seems like somebody had tried to do it beforehand. This is a second-hand model, unfortunately, so it looks like there's a little bit of paint there that was glue or something, maybe. The coal load itself is pretty nice, but it does fall out. I'll demonstrate that later on. But other than that, she's a fantastic locomotive. I have been enjoying her. So let's flip her upside down and we can have a look at the underside and look at disassembly. So here we have the makeshift cradle. I am working on a better one, do not worry. But I wanted to show you guys not only the underframe, because it's actually quite nice for this locomotive, but I wanted to show you what I think is the main drawback of this locomotive, and I think a few others as well. So as you can probably see, here is the drawbar on a pin, and you simply disconnect like so. But you can also adjust it with a screw underneath the front axle, which is not convenient at all. You can do it without removing the front axle, but it just doesn't work. It really isn't nice. And the other thing as well is the DCC connection to the tender is also here, and It's just a plug that you have to try and pull without pulling wires out, and then you have to finagle it, and it's just not nice. And that's how it comes apart. So we'll start with the tender first. So on the tender, we can see this really nice water scoop actually. Let me put that into shot. So you can see the water scoop here, which is really nice detail actually from Bachmann. And the level of detail itself, the rivets and everything look fantastic anyway. As again, I'm still debating putting the given 3-link couplings here or getting some from MJT or something. But for what it is, it looks fantastic. Underneath, we can see that the rear and front axles have pickups. The middle ones do not, although they are isolated, which probably means you can just swap them out. To get into the DCC fitting, there are 4 screws, 2 behind, 2 in front of the front axle and 2 behind the rear axle either side of the NEM pocket. Now the rear ones you can unscrew without the axle interfering. It interferes a little bit, but the coal load falls out, gives us a nice look into coal load. But the main issue I have is with the front axles. Now, I'm glad I'm not going to have to do this more than once, so you can start it without the front axle coming out, but actually you do have to sort of take out the front axle by trying not to break your nice new model. And you kind of have to tilt the axle out of the way, because if I've struggled to try and take this axle out properly, but the pins are not pointed, as you can see. The pins on the axles are not pointed, they're flat-faced. So, but with those 4 screws, the tender body comes off, and you can see underneath there's a little bit of room. And here we have the tender. 21-pin DCC decoder, already set on a mounting board so you can mount your own speaker to it, which I will be doing in future. This has a rounded slot for a speaker, but by the looks of things there is a decent amount of room for a speaker of considerable size to fit there. So an installation is as simple as taking out, putting in. It's a little bit sticky, but what can you do? My one gripe again with this is the PCB is not stuck down completely. It's just like one screw here, but this corner isn't. So when you're trying to pull the decoder, it's just a bit awkward. Anyway, onto the locomotive. So taking a look at the loco now, we can get a better look at the cab detail here. It looks fantastic, I think. They've done really well with this one. You can see the gauges at the top even have detail. The AWS bell on the side as well. So, putting this loco on the side, we can see that all 4 driving wheels have pickups, and the pony is sprung, has an NEM pocket, works just as it should. So while we've got these out, I thought we'd weigh them individually. So First up will be the locomotive. Not overly heavy, weighing in at 194 grams, or 6.85 ounces. Not terrible. Next we have tender, 2.45 ounces or 70 grams, and together 264 grams or 9.3 ounces. Interesting. Now, before we get this down on the track to test it out, see how it runs, I wanted to show you how terrible it is to sort this tender connection out. So you have to flip it in there, let the coal drop out, finagle it about, probably have to get some sort of pokey stick. There we go, almost there, almost there. See how awkward this is. Even more awkward behind the camera. See, it's just not great. There you go. And then you have to sort of put the loco on its side, find the right lug, point the lug, and poke in. All of that, just so you can run your locomotive. Now, I'm going to have to do that at least once again to put my DCC strip back in, and then probably again when I get around to sound fitting this. God, this coal load just doesn't want to come. There you go. No? There you go. Right. Onto the track. We briefly interrupt this video to give you some news on a new project that myself, the Little Western Railway, Rob at the Kiln Line, Dan at Engage USA, and Hilton at Proper Chuffed are putting together. We've dubbed it the Shunting Yard. The idea is for the four of us to come together in our respective gauges and bring you guys all the latest news that we can come up with, some occasional videos, maybe some banter, and just all around entertainment in a more video-y, open format. So we look forward to speaking to you guys in the future. Feel free to send us your questions. We have a Facebook group, page. We will be setting up an Instagram, but you can also contact us all individually. Links are in the description below. Now, back to the video. The Great Western Railway 3200 class, or Earl Class, was a design of the 440 steam locomotive for passenger train work. The nickname for this class, almost universally used at the time these engines were in service, was Dukedog, since the locomotives were basically composed of the former Duke class boilers and Bulldog frames. They were one of the last standard gauge steam locomotives to retain outside frames, which harkens back to the early days of the Great Western Railway. Originally built in two lots between 1936 and 1939, with a prototype built in 1929, tray, pen and pole, they were mainly allocated to the Cambrian main line, and it remained one of the few classes that British Rail inherited that were light enough to be permitted on the wooden Barmouth Bridge, including the 2251 class and the LMS Ivet class 2. As a result, they remained in regular use until the 1950s. In 1946, renumbering of all the surviving locomotives in the 32 series, both Dukes and Dukedogs, were renumbered to the 90XX series, retaining the same last two digits from their 32XX days. This was to give the 2251 class engines free to use the 32XX numbers. So there we have it, a small running session and overview of the Earl class. Now, I have to say, I think I got excellent value for money. She's never let me wrong. She has a great crawl. not so much in DC. It's okay for DC at 19 volts on a standard Hornby controller, but DCC that she actually came with is perfection. So when I have my DCC controller up and running, I will get a few shots of that and maybe post another update video. We'll see. But this one's getting a little bit too long at the moment, so just really want to wrap this up. Definitely worth it. She cost me £50 at a toy and train fair in Hook last summer, and yeah, honestly, I wish I took more money because there were a few other bargains that I really should have picked up and taken the opportunity on. But while we're just running out the last few running shots, I want to thank you guys very much for checking out this video. I'm still working on, adapting format. This has basically been 2 different formats squished together, and it's almost hit 24 minutes long. The idea is actually to make the main one about 20 minutes long and the follow-up about 10-15 minutes long. So I think I've managed to do a decent round job of this. But I want to ask you guys, if you did like the video, please drop a like. If you want to keep updated for more content, hit that subscribe button. And remember to put bell notifications on if you want to be notified. You don't have to. It's completely your choice. This week's shout out, I'm going to shout out Dunget's Model Railway this week. Been following him for quite a while now. Some of his ABC braking videos have been quite inspirational for me, actually. I have been thinking about it in addition to other bits that I've been doing. And he also does occasional videos of Model Railway exhibitions and things. So yeah, go and check Dunget's Model Railway out. I'll leave a link in the description below. But again, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Take care. Bye-bye.